Okay, so again, I welcome everyone in the last day of the workshop. I'll be solving this question of NCCP in front of you. How we are going to go through this is that I'm reading the question by my own, and I expect you to read the question by your own. I'll be allocating 1 hour for both of us, that is you and me, and then we will be allocating time requirement wise. Now this class can go to 3 hours, 4 hours, or 5 hours as well. But I'll let everyone know. Um, I'm fine. Uh, this is how we are going to work, right? And I'll read the question by my own. You are going to read the question as well, and we'll be starting this question as if we are doing a specific mock exam, right? So this is one of the bestest question that I found, and a question which is covering majority of areas in the examination. So I would want everyone to solve this very religiously. How we will be going through this question is that I'll show this question on the screen, but I'll read it by my own. I'll read it to my own, and I'll try. I would want you to read this question as well. Secondly, once we are done with the reading, reflective, and planning time, then what I'll do is I'll start with part A. I'll allocate a time period to you and me as well. And we'll be doing part A of this examination. We'll stop, we'll discuss part A, then we'll move to part B. We'll stop, we'll discuss part B, then we'll be moving to part C. I will not be correcting or I'll not be checking the answer right now in class. However, you are going to save all the answers and send me at the end of the class, so that we'll be solving one question all together, uh, by sitting in this class or by sitting at your homes, and you can send me the answer that you have basically done in this specific class. Is it clear to every one of you? Yes, we will be using this on CBE platform. I would want you to do this on CBE platform. Just wait, I'm starting this question. Just a minute. I'm allotting the reading time to you all. Just please open the SBL NCCP paper in front of you. ये कौन सा था दिसंबर 2021 था ओके ये करा हुआ है आप लोगों ने थोड़ा सा किया ना पूरा कर लेना लेकिन शुरू से करना है तुमने कौन सा नहीं किया हुआ लेकिन मजा नहीं आएगा फिर क्लास में कर लो फिर फायदा नहीं है दूसरा कर और दूसरा करो थोड़ा आप दोबारा कर ले दूसरा कोई कर ले फिर Okay, so now I'm starting the paper. Right now it's 3:45. I'm giving you time to read till 4:45. I'll also be reading this exam and I would want you all to read. For next 1 hour, I'll be quiet and I expect that every one of you have opened their questions in front of your computer screens. Your time starts now. All online students, should I remove the screen that I'm sharing in front of you? Should I remove the screen, or is it okay for you all? Okay, now we should stop reading and we are starting with the writing time. Everyone, please stop reading. Please let me know how many of you were not able to read it completely. How many exhibits are left? Two complete exhibits. ठीक है. How many exhibits are left, beta? दो तीन बार. Any other who was not able to read? कितने? Two exhibits. Okay. All others were able to complete all exhibits. This is one of the biggest questions, right? This is one of the biggest. This one and Optima. There are two questions who are considered to be big ones. So this is one of the biggest question. Any online students was not able to complete within the reading time that was made available? Completed in 50 minutes. Good. Done with all. Asadullah says that he was left with two exhibits. Zohaib was left with the last one. Okay. Now let's start quickly with the first requirement. We do not have much time. The executive board has become concerned at negative coverage about NCCP in the local press. Okay. So there have been a local press providing negative coverage, as well as feedback from the staff and volunteers expressing the concern about the direction the charity is taken. It is therefore seeking advice from you as the most appropriate way forward. Prepare a report for presentation to the board which assesses NCCP's internal and external stakeholders and recommend appropriate ways of managing them. The total marks are 16. Professional marks are available for demonstrating analysis skills in carefully considering how stakeholders can be managed appropriately. 4 marks for this requirement. So 20 marks in total. So 20 means multiply by 1.8. This means how many minutes do you have? 36 minutes. So I'm starting off with, I'm also writing, but I would want you to write as well. I'll show my screen while writing so that you have a fair idea of what I am writing in front of you. And then you can, obviously you must be writing by your own, but I would want you to see the way that I'm writing the answer with. I have just written for the some of the part of this question. Let me show you. Okay, so I've written the format while reading. I had some time, so I wrote the format in front. So I would want you all to start. Right now it's 4:45 and we need to provide 36 minutes. So this means kitna ho gaya? 5:21. Yes, 5:21. So you have time till 5:21. So while reading, do we need to cover the question first or only the exhibits? You need to cover questions as well. You need to cover the questions as well. Okay, so let's start. I'm writing in front of you, I'm typing, and I would want you also to do the same thing. Start typing on your own, then I'll share my answer and you'll share your answer with me. Okay, so I'm showing my answer now. Your time is up. I hope so. You all must have written your answers. And is there anyone who was not able to complete his answer? कितना रहता है? तो वो एग्जामिनर को कैसे बताएंगे हम? क्या? ओके, चलें. कोई बात नहीं. Let's see. ये सबको, is it visible to everyone? Okay, so let's start. To board of directors from consultant, external stakeholders and competitive advantage. Date. Introduction. And this report assesses NCCP's internal and external stakeholders and critically assess the NCCP's source of competitive advantage. We have, for the first thing, internal stakeholders. The first person is employee. In NCCP, there are several paid employee, total 12 in numbers, and many unpaid employee as well who are just working for the betterment of individuals. These individuals show lower side in terms of power and higher interest. So it falls in the category of keep informed. Can you identify how accurately and how in just in few lines I have identified what was asked? I could have done, okay, paid employee should be given more payment than unpaid employee. They are all working for not for the world, but for the world hereafter. You don't need to make such statements. The question is very straightforward. The answer should be straightforward too. Inform some of the key decisions when taken should be bought in the knowledge of the staff so that they may feel valuable asset of the company. So when I say that we need to keep them informed, this means that whenever you are taking some of the key decisions, you need to make them aware of these decisions, and you need to provide them a communication model where these decisions are being communicated, and it will go two-way round as well, so that they can also contribute in some sort of decision making, but they will not be having any voting power. Then it says the Board of Trustee. NCCP is a charity that was set up 20 years ago by Richard Tempest through its donation. Richard was a major contributor of the Board of Trustees in NCCP until the time he retired from his position. And therefore his high power and high interest in the way the charity is being run. The executive board, therefore, need to ensure that it can demonstrate how its action are supporting the NCCP's mission and objective. So, board of trustees, you all must have identified as high power and high interest, and you can also write that they are the key players of the company. However, you need to justify why we are calling them as key players or why we are saying that they are going for high power and high interest. Then we have the executive board. There is an executive board of 4 members comprising of chief executive officer, CEO, finance director, operational director, and so forth. As they are just the operational leadership, they have low power as their main role is to execute the decision to the board of trustees. However, मैं चुप तो वो भी चुप हो रहा है. However, they have high interests in, hence they can be classified as keep informed. So we need to provide them with timely information and help them in the execution of day-to-day operational activities. Yes. हम्म, इसमें क्या है? इसमें क्या है मसला? No issues at all. Why can't I say that, okay, you are not an important employee for us, but we'll try to keep you informed up to the extent we can. So it's okay. हाँ हाँ, हम बता रहे हैं ना. We are informing the board. We are external consultant. We are informing the board. Then it says donors. Corporate donors are having high power. On average, each donation represents 3.5% of NCCP's total income. Level and the interest in NCCP may vary. Now, there are two types of donors: corporate donors, and company donors, and we have personal donors as well. The corporate donors have some sort of personal link to NCCP, but in the light of media report, they are indications that they are also taking keener interest in their donations and where are they are being used. NCCP should therefore keep corporate donors satisfied. Why? Because they have the high power and low interest. By demonstrating good corporate governance, personal donors are likely to have high interest in NCCP as they have made a personal choice to donation and to donation of money. At the same time, the average personal donation of $24 is not significant. So it's not significant. The total value of all personal donation over a year is less than one average corporate donation. So they are not big giants of the company. Personal donors should still be kept informed. So this means that we need to keep satisfied the corporate donors and we need to keep informed the personal donors. Keep informed by the NCCB, but they will be given less priority than corporate donors. Then we have the council. NCCP relies heavily on Kivli Council, that is CC, which provide financial support. Funding from Kivli Council is expected to fall significantly in the coming year due to reduction in funding from the central government. The council attaches specific condition to its funding which change from year to year. From 2004 onwards, the fund has been conditional on NCCP's running a business skill course as part of the council initiative to encourage the people to develop these business skills. So I was just left with one line as to what about the power and interest, and that, this is the point where I stopped. So just in order to make sure that you guys also stop and move towards the other question, right? So I'm left with one line in which I have to identify if the power is high or the interest is low or the power is low and interest is yes. So we need to decide it. But for the time being, I was out of my time, so I decided to quit over here and move forward with the next one because leaving one line will not cause me much more as compared to leaving an entire question or the entire part of the question. Is it clear to everyone? Okay. So now we are moving towards the next part, but before that, we can have a namaz break in between, and then we'll be moving towards the part B. Just let me just read it for you so that those students who want to start, they can quickly start, and for the other one, you can have a break in between. Oh, Donor, but donor can remove the funding, and if he is going to remove the funding, this means that the entire company is going to go to an end. The donor have a higher level of, see, level of power is on the basis of finance, and level of power is on the basis of how the company's operation are being included with that person, or how you can, impose your decision on the company's operation. That is level of power. हो सकती है. Huh? Hmm. Hmm. Right? Is it clear to everyone? Okay, so let's move towards the part B. Critically assess the NCCP sources of competitive advantage. It's a small question. Professional marks are available for demonstrating evaluation skills. So you need to have pros and cons. But critically assess the sources of competitive advantage. Now, the most alarming situation was that critically assess the NCCP sources of competitive advantage. What do you understand by this? Please let me know. Uh, so can we write cons in this answer? I'm reading this question once again. Critically assess the NCCP sources of competitive advantage. Competitive advantage means advantage. It does no, you're not going to write cons. Competitive advantage. Sources of competitive advantage. This means that you're going to write the advantages only. Now, this is the examiner comment as well. Many students, they decided to write the disadvantages because after seeing the evaluation. Now, how are we going to evaluate? We are going to evaluate if a one particular advantage is going to give us more amount of revenue resources or more amount of goodwill in the society or not. So this means that you need to categorize the advantages in accordance with the amount of goodwill that you are going to generate or the amount of benefit that you are going to generate at the end of the day. So competitive advantage, each competitive advantage, we need to assess them critically that, okay, this competitive advantage is giving us a huge amount of add-on benefit, but this competitive advantage, although it's an advantage, but it is not contributing as much as the previous one. So this is how we are going to write the question. Again, we can have 10 minutes of namaz break and then we can start. I'm just adding up the marks of this question as well so that you can start. All those who want to start, they can start. It's 14 marks question. So we will be adding up around 25 minutes. Right now it's 5:40. I'll be sharing my answer by 6:10. I'll be sharing my answer by 6:10. Okay. So please start now. Okay, now let's see the answer. I guess you all have done. Okay, so I'm going through the answer of part B. Um, let me show you the requirement of part B once again so that critically assess the NCCP sources of competitive advantage. You are being awarded with the marks on your evaluation skills. Now let's see. NCCP model is heavily subsidized the course which it offers. The objective is to make education affordable for those who would not otherwise have the opportunity alongside the 4 directors and 12 paid employees. Each department benefit from the work of unpaid employee. Having volunteers is an important source of competitive advantage as it directly reduces cost. However, the motivation level of volunteers are changing. As one volunteer commented in the staff survey, I used to love volunteering at NCCP because I felt I could make a difference to the people who really needed the help. I don't feel this is any longer and am seriously thinking about leaving. This could be the big issue in the difficult to and it's difficult to find a dedicated volunteer. It's just an introduction of how I introduce the answer by saying that okay, there are certain competitive advantage, but if not dealt appropriately, we might end up in losing those advantage. NCCP is described as a well respected for its good value courses and social environment. The reputation would have been a source of competitive advantage, but it has apparently been undermined by Mr. Allen's plan for premium courses aimed at more affluent members of the community and the associated negative publicity with the department. NCCP has been getting government funding for so many years. Also, it has a long is for so many years. All मैं सुना गया तो it has long इतनी सारी और long corporate donors, corporate donors who most of whom date back to the Richard Tempest time. These relationships are important to ensure continuity of funding and donation to run the charity without the interpretation. In addition, most educational organizations would seek to differentiate themselves based on the quality of their courses. However, most of the NCCP's courses are run by freelancers who, by definition, would also be available to any other educational provider. Overall, there is a risk that NCCP gets stuck in the middle. Its ability to secure significant funding, whether through Richard Tempest or Cable Council, is reducing, and there is nothing to indicate that NCP will be able to add value through the efficient processes. So, if you have notified yourself, if you have seen over here, you can see that in this question, you just need to identify the competitive advantages first. Then you need to assess if that competitive advantage is right now prevalent or not. And then you need to identify that if this competitive advantage can be increased in the near future or will it be decreasing. So there are 3 areas in which you will be talking about and you can secure some good marks. So if these 3 areas are dealt accurately, you will be securing good marks in this exam, in this specific paper, right? Do you get this? Now, how many of you feel that you were able to write an answer which was close to it? And how many of you feel that you were able to write the answer? Just yes. Am I audible to online students? Am I audible to everyone? Am I audible to you all? All online students? Okay. So, how many of you feel that, okay, you have written an answer which is 40 to 50% matching this one? 40-50%. What about 60-70%? 80-90%? Okay. Now, this was not a well attempted answer, right? This was not a well attempted answer again. Now, rather than moving forward with the second part of the requirement, I guess we should read the examiner's comment of NCCP Part A and Part B. Because reading the examiner comments, it will give us a better insight. Okay? So let's just quickly go through the Okay. So I guess you won't be getting this all online students. Okay. Let's go through the first part of examiner's comment. Examiner says, overall, the standard of the candidate answer resulted in one of the poorest settings so far. Right? Voice is not clear. Okay, is it clear now? Is my voice clear now? Good. So I guess now it must be clear. Okay. So it says one of the poorest sittings in SBL so far. So this means that since September 2018 till 2020, it was one of the poorest sitting. Stronger candidate integrated and used the information in the case study material throughout the. This is always the same comment that the examiner is given. Weaker candidate often use pre-learned knowledge as the basis of most of the answer. Now, actually, I just want to go through the part A answer so that we can start with the specific comment. Now this is question number 1A. Generally the task was reasonably done in terms of technical skills. Stronger candidate formulated an assessment approach and applied it to each stakeholder. Stronger candidate recognized that the influence of the stakeholder can be based on their contribution to NCCP volunteer or could be impacted by the outcome of the NCCP, that is course participants. Stronger candidate used information from the exhibit. For example, exhibit 8, the staff survey, to recommend how to better manage the stakeholders' expectation. Other candidate approached the assessment by reference to the interest and power of the stakeholder to gain marks. The interest and power had to be justified. The interest and power had to be justified. This means Mendelow's model. Weaker candidates were largely generic. So if you are generic, this means you are going into a weaker candidate scenario. For example, suggesting the CC have high power and high interest with no justification. So you were right that they have high power and high interest, but without justification, this means that you're not scoring marks for the assessment. Some candidate wasting time in explaining what stakeholder is and the difference between internal and external stakeholder. So you're not going to do this, which was totally unnecessary. Key weaknesses include failure to formulate an assessment approach, instead providing a general discussion around the issue relating to each stakeholder. What they were doing is that they started doing a general discussion about each stakeholder. Now, this is a stakeholder, it should have been satisfied. We will be going with such strategies to make this stakeholder satisfied. Failing to justify assessment with no justification for why a stakeholder has low power, high interest, high power, low. Again, this indicate the application of model. Considering the executive board as stakeholder that need to be considered, failing to recognize that they are the recipient of the board. If you are writing the executive board, okay, again, you can write to the executive board, but they are the recipient of the board. So it's better to take another form of stakeholder. But again, the examiner himself has also included the executive board in the answer. Examiners have given one paragraph of executive board as well, in which he has identified, okay, executive board are also the stakeholder. So he has not given much about that executive board, but examiner himself has included one specific line about the executive board. Still, you have so many other stakeholders left. So if you justify those other stakeholders, this can be the last resort. If you want, you can again write the executive board, but it will make you lose some marks as well. They are not going to award you maximum number of marks. Recommending ways to manage each stakeholder in isolation. For example, suggesting NCCP volunteers should be keep informed. Now, this is also an indication of application of model, because keep informed is the word that is used in Mendelow's model. Keep satisfied is the word that is used in Mendelow's model, with no specific explanation of what need to be informed. To score high professional marks, candidate needed to demonstrate analysis skills in considering how each stakeholder could be appropriately managed. Candidate who considered the current stakeholders' relationship with NCCP and identified the stakeholder need were able to recommend practical suggestion on how to manage each stakeholder. Candidate who recommended ways of managing stakeholder in isolation secured low professional marks. If you're going to write a generic answer, if you're going to write the methods without providing justification, you'll not end up in scoring good marks. Let's look at part 1B. The overall standard of the answer of this task was quite disappointing. I know it was a difficult question. It was not an easy question as compared to the part A. The question requirement clearly asks for the critical assessment of NCCP sources of competitive advantage. To evaluate sources of competitive advantage, candidate could have referred back to question number 1A. This does not mean that they can copy from question number 1A. However, to consider the relationship of NCCP has with its stakeholder, many candidates provided general description of NCCP resources or listed NCCP strengths and weaknesses. Many candidates ignore the critical part of giving the critical assessment, choosing not to include any critical view in the assessment and scored low marks on the task. Now, this means that if you're not assessing the competitive advantage as to if this competitive advantage is going to remain in the company or not, if this competitive advantage is right now prevalent in the company, or can we improve this advantage? We used to have this advantage, but now this is compelling, this is going down. So, what we need to do in order to upbring it? This was also required. Stronger candidate identify the benefit of NCCP courses provided, delivering a product that the participant needed and offering real value due to subsidies. Going on to evaluate the issue in the case that would impact these competitive advantage. This is what I'm saying. Going on with the evaluation of the case that these competitive advantage will impact the company, and up to what extent we can increase these competitive advantage. Key weaknesses include failing to recognize what set NCCP apart from other participants to choose, reproducing material from the case without explanation, provide a source of competitive advantage. Just copy pasting, and we are not providing why is it providing a source of competitive advantage, failing to identify the factor that would lead to NCCP's competitive advantage being compromised, and making assumption about what might happen to NCCP's competitive advantage, which is not which is not evidenced in the case. For example, another charity being established in North Kivali. So if you are giving suggestion that one that is right now not prevalent in the case study, and you're giving the suggestion on the basis that okay, if you want, you can have this competitive advantage in the near future, this is also not going to gain you some good marks. So see, this is how we are going to write. Now everything is coming to an end, right? And I hope so. You are quite evident right now that this is how we will be writing our examination. Now, one thing that I would want from every one of you is that, okay, we are left with one specific presentation part. And as I told you, that I'll also go through the leadership, responsible leadership article. So I have made a video last attempt, in my last attempt in regard with the responsible leadership. I have already shared that article with you, but I'll be sharing the part of video, and I'll let you know from what time till what time I've done the leadership article in that video. Thirdly, most important thing is that from now onwards, what should we do? From now onwards, please don't go through technical part a lot. Now you are very much clear on how the technical part work. If you know each and every part of your technicalities or the technical part of the SBL exam, and you at the end of the day you are not confident enough in identifying the right answer to your questions, you will end up doing mistakes and you'll end up having no good marks in your exam. So you need to be very much prominent in practicing rather than going through the revision strategy of revising the technical part. You need to practice a lot and you need to share your answers with me so that I can check them all. I hope so. It was a good workshop for you all. I hope so. You all were able to identify your mistakes at the end. And now, for now onwards, I'll be calling it a day today. And you all have my number. You all have my access to my WhatsApp groups as well as my social media account. So you can always contact me through those that specific social media. From now onwards, I'll also be sharing some voice notes and other stuff. One thing which is remaining right now is the presentation part. So I'll be sharing the presentation slide video with you, how to make the presentation slide. I'll make one presentation slide with you all, and I'll record it and share it with you through my YouTube channel or through the Google Drive link, right? um, this is SBL signing off for the last time. Thank you so much for being there, and I hope to see everyone successful at the end. Kunal, you can send me a voice note, please. Till then, till next time, I hope to see each and everyone clear this exam. Take care. Ahmed, you can also send me a voice note, please.